Hello and welcome to LexTube News. Today we're sitting with Coach Kyle Kaufman, our electricity instructor here at L2IC. I understand that you went on quite the field trip today.
Yes, we did. We went up to Dominion Energy's lineman training facility that they have at the Lake Murray Dam.
Now I understand that this whole situation was based on several different classes working together for a real world interaction for our kids?
Yes, well they come to us and had talked to us. They were talking about building a training facility up there for their linemen, and they come to us and asked about us possibly building some 8x8, 8x10 buildings and wiring them. So we would do the building and building construction with Mr. Shumpert's class and do all the electrical wiring for single phase and three phase for them in our electricity class.
That's awesome. And Mr. Adkins was telling me a little bit about this whole facility. So your kids got to actually see real employees of our energy company in action. What happened today?
We sure did. When we got there, they were doing some interviews today, so it gave our kids a chance to be able to see how the interview process went. It also gave they had a couple of their trainers that were there that were showing our kids actually how wiring from the transformer into your house. They were able to make up the connections. They were able to talk about the transformer connections and everything, like your regular drop to your house. We also got to see how their transmission lines are brought online and brought offline. They actually, one of their 200,000 volt lines they actually brought online while we were there. It was a real shock to the kids. I mean, they got a kick out, big kick out.
No pun intended.
Yes, no pun intended.
That's really cool. Now, somebody was telling me, and I'm certainly not versed in electricity at all, but somebody was telling me that each of the little tiny houses had different types of wiring. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, what we did is they gave us some plans on how they wanted the first couple built. They were regular residential style homes. They were regular single phase 120, 240 coming in just like your regular house would be. And then they gave us the other three buildings that we have wired for them. They wanted three phase, which is three phase 240, which you find a lot more in commercial type structures. We were able to bend conduit and stuff in there, so it replicates a lot of what you would see in a school type setting, a restaurant type setting, versus the single phase, which is your home type setting.
That's really, really fascinating and so neat that our kids got to do something that's real and going into a real job out there. I also heard this morning, I missed it before I got here this morning, but I heard that they brought a fancy trailer out and packaged up the little houses and moved away. Were you there for that?
Yes, I was there for that. They got two of them first thing this morning at about 9 o'clock right before we left. They load them up. They have a certain trailer.
I heard they had a $50,000 trailer that was specialty.
It's a nice trailer. It definitely helps loading things, whether you just basically put it down and it basically maneuvers itself to wherever it wants to go. So it was, our kids got to watch that. They got to, and while we were there, they brought those two houses in, dropped those off, and then come back and got the third house and actually was dropping it off on site as we were leaving.
Okay, so were they moving them all today?
They moved all three of those
all of
today.
Them today. That's incredible. And so your students actually got to see their stuff at a real training facility.
Absolutely.
That is so fascinating. And now, did only the electricity students get to go today, or did some of the building construction kids get to go?
We had a couple of building construction kids go. Mainly they were electricity kids that went. But it was an eye-opening experience for all of them. They really, getting back on the bus, it was continuous talk about, wow, we hadn't seen that before, and it allowed them, because we stress a lot of residential versus in commercial, and we don't normally get to that type of environment.
Right.
So it was a eye-opening experience. Like I said, they talked to us. Keller Kissam come in and spoke with them. He was he had a really good talk with them. They had a lot of good questions for him and Mr. Feaster that we've been dealing with the whole time. I mean, it was a really good experience for our kids and myself. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That is awesome, and it's so awesome to have a partnership with a company not only as big as Dominion and as powerful as Dominion, but such a big employer to our area, our whole state,
Yes.
as Dominion Energy. So at the end of the day, when you got all the way back here to school, I know y'all were hot and tired, but did your kids have any comments?
Actually, they did. We come back to the classroom, and it was really funny because they were like, you know, that was awesome. They'd actually talked about pay, how much pay you would make, what kind of training you had to go through, the entire process, and our kids were like, you know, we can do that, and that's what we try to do. Is we try to, you know, get their mindset that yes, you can do this, you can be successful in whatever you want to be.
And you can leave this facility making decent money
Absolutely, they
in a
can
lot
make
of these trade jobs.
they can make a really good living.
And that's one of my favorite parts about working here with you guys. Of course, I'm in the video and animation field of our school and facility, but the beautiful thing is how much we all work together and how all of our former careers working in real industry bring to the table for all of these young people.
I wouldn't want to work anywhere else.
I wouldn't either.
This is
wouldn't
where
either.
it's at.
But the cross-curricular and working with the different programs, and we had tour groups this afternoon and just explaining to them how useful their math skills and their English skills and how everything in this building works together.
They
It's
stressed that
phenomenal.
today.
Did they?
When we talked to them, they stressed that your interpersonal skills was so valuable, and being able to communicate with people, that's a big part of it.
Well, we've done a good job with that with our employability skills.
Yes, we have.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kaufman, for sitting down with us. I know that you were ready to go home and I kept you here late after
Perfectly
a
fine.
long, hot field trip.
Yes.
I guess it made you appreciate the fact that your beautiful lab and facility here at L2IC is air conditioned.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you for having me.